right? It wasn't about just dominating side lane. It was just about getting that combo together. And, you know, when they did in that one fight, it didn't quite work out. And the rest of the game, they just couldn't find it. So we'll see what the adaptation is. As the desk highlighted, both the Rumble and the Varus gone. More tank junglers taken away, which means we're getting some interesting junglers this game. Or...
yeah, interesting junglers like Zyra and, you know.
Say Nidalee, come on.
I mean, potentially. He's a Nidalee player and has brought out things like the Nocturne already. So maybe it'll happen, but I do think it's going to be like falling back towards, hey, let's go Zyra. And then with Yone potentially left open here, maybe we can go for the early Yone pick with that Zyra, you know. There's a few.
First pick Ezreal? Question mark? I mean, this has been Ezreal's been banned against Keduii ever since he played that one game against Fnatic where he absolutely popped off. So it's either first pick or GX have let it slide through.
If I'm SK, I was gonna say I don't ban either Yone, Ezreal, or the Zyra, because now you basically say, hey, what are you gonna take? Because we can take, if you take Ezreal, we take Zyra, Yone. And if you don't, then we could just go back to like Lily or something. But I think you're in a fight spot here as SK. Like, you get Reeker back onto the Yone, which he looked good on, and had a strong performance in the last game, so enable him. And then Boukada can just end up taking the AP jungler. I mean, he has Lily if he wants to go back towards it as well. So I think you're good.
I have to feel like GX have answers ready for this Yone, knowing that it's coming. Because to first pick the Ezreal against Keduii makes a lot of sense, given his comfort on the pick. But against a lot of other teams, it would be crazy to give up this Yone for an Ezreal.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I can think of is that you take the Gwen immediately here for lot on that top side, and then you go for the Tristan in the mid lane and just kind of bully out the Yone in the early stages. But we've kind of seen it hasn't worked out to magnificent success. But that's kind of the extent that I can see the angle for. And then you can try and say, hey, look, well, either you end up taking that AP jungler. Okay, no, I was going to say take the AP jungler for Boukada on the next, or Boukada, sorry, on the next one, or it just doesn't work out.
All right, Pantheon locked in. If the Leona gets locked in as well, this is just going straight into jungle. Obviously a champion that can be really aggressive early on. Super telegraph CC, though, makes it still pretty hard to gank something like the Yone, but Kai'Sa low range early game, maybe an avenue of attack. I like this more for Isma. Vi really just did not work out last game. Pantheon, pretty powerful, pretty independent character, can be more active on the map with the semi-global pressure from the ulti.
All right, what's the game plan here? Because you don't actually need to go with the AP threat fully now that you have Kai'Sa, because she can always index into it. So, okay, gonna go with Rakan. Make sure that they're comfortable in that bottom side first. And decent matchups there where Rakan will just scale so well into the later portion of the game. And you've still got that 1v1 threat from the Kai'Sa onto the Ezreal. No real answer for the Yone here, and now you get to ban away some of the things he can struggle with in that mid lane. So I think thus far, SK, honestly, in the better draft position at the moment.
Not too bad. The thing I will say I really love about this composition is all characters want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Which I think, again, that simplicity in comp always is going to feel good when you get in a game, because anyone pushes ult, everybody pushes ult. It all can kind of come together. You've got an AD carry who can easily follow, although we know Kai'Sa can suffer earlier on in the game against Ezreal. As you get later in the game, she becomes a pretty big powerhouse. Expect to see a cleanse coming through, but it's the Lilia banned out.
Yeah, I imagine the Zyra is going to be next, right? And then you just try and go for it. But I think you're trying to eye up something that can still facilitate with the dive, is my thought. And because, okay, Drakos was not what I expected, because I was about to say, like, the ones in my head are Zyra and maybe even the Brand. The Brand kind of fallen off quite a bit in those AP jungler pools, but you want Boukada on something that can enable that. Like, Nocturne is the one that springs to mind, even though he's not AP. And then because Gwen wasn't banned, okay, there he is, yeah. And then you can still take the Gwen for GenX in the top lane, unless Lost tries to take it away here.
What if no one did magic damage? What if we all just hand shook and only did physical damage?
Yeah, we just let the AD carries be that sole little bit of AP damage, and that's it.
Well, I mean, that applies to Kai'Sa. I don't know if I don't think Ezreal's going to hit enough with the magic
damage.
Look,
there's an AP build. You can go for it. Yeah.
It does feel good.
Hey, and I did emphasize the word small, like little amount of AP damage.
All right, Ahri now locked in as well. Not the flashiest option into the Yone, but definitely a pretty stable champion.
Oh, this is the biggest Gwen angle for GIANTX I've seen. Like, you've already got great dive potential with everyone else on the team, and then Gwen can just kind of play through them with even being able to assist in that backline dive thanks to the needlework. It's a good matchup into the Gnar as well. You want that AP damage. Yeah, this just feels like such an easy pickup for GIANTX in this position.
Should be cozy comfy. Look, GX.
Or there is also a world where you flex Yone top and you go the Orianna mid, and then you get the Nocturne Orianna.
Or the Vladimir, which now appears to be GIANTX's favorite answer. And that's enough magic damage to balance out the composition. Also, that percent damage buff from the ulti does not care about what type of damage is being dealt. So we have crazy, insane dive comp for the 4 bottom half of the map characters, and then a Vladimir, who can also dive pretty good as we get later. Yeah, just runs out. On the opposite side, much more standard from the side of GX. Strong in terms of the Ezreal safe carry, a lot of pick potential. Pantheon Ahri, terrifying jungle mid duo.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like for GIANTX's comp, you need to get the ball rolling early. Like, you have insanely strong mid jungle, great Leona presence as well that can roam towards that mid and support that, but after 2 items, you just start to fall off a cliff in comparison to the SK scaling. So if this game starts to go very long, I much favor what SK are bringing to the table, but if GIANTX can really take over in these early stages, they can just snowball out of control.
Will they find the angle? Question our minds, the coach's fist bump on stage. SK, we're going to keep this ball rolling. Power of that flex pick in game 1 doing so much work. GIANTX really popping off. For context,
it's not over yet.
The sign said, GX win, will you marry me? Just play Kindred. One without the other. Look, guys, I'm a big fan.
I traded 1 ring for a soul ring. You know what? It works.
I mean, there's still a 1 ring in Magic, but if you play it, you're probably a bad person. Such is life.
Doesn't Mysterix have it in his deck?
No.
Is not in his Saruman deck?
No, there's no way.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Midgeman.
It's like a $150 card. There's no way. It's probably cheaper now, but there's just no way. Man, actually, that would be the most Jake thing I've ever heard. He just randomly has like the most powerful
and everything else in the deck is like 20-cent cards.
Yeah, 20-cent random stuff he got from a friend who told him it was good. But here we are. A lot of Conquer on the top side of the map. Early game, I think similar to last game, important, but I'm a little bit worried about Boukada. Be honest. I see in the 1v1, Nocturne can be pretty cozy, right? Has the spell shield to block that stun. Looks pretty good to me. But Pantheon can just dominate an early game if he finds any early gank. And Isma, after last game where he kind of had to wait till level 6 to be unleashed and fumbled the first play, I think this is a chance for him to really turn this series around.
Yeah, he does need the support of his team, though. Like, this is where you want desperately to see that mid-jungle duo pop off. You already said, look, they've got the tools to do it. I just want to see them try and get that, at least from level 4 or 5, where you can just try and look for these plays, especially if FLICKR is overextended. And this is where the changes to Yone are going to make a very big difference. The fact he is still CC'd even after he goes back with the Soul Unbound should make things much easier for GIANTX to play around that lane.
Will make things better. Can be tricky, though, depending on the range, but we'll see if FLICKR can keep up the aggressive level of play that we saw in the previous game. Maybe get some early prio here. Jackie's a bit more tools to fight. Unlike the Azir, he doesn't have to quite be on the back foot the entire time. And now just a race through the jungle for the first few levels.
Nice ward to spot out Boukada, though. So I want to see what Isma tries to do to adjust here. Does he actually try and go for it? Yeah, he's pinging onto the top side of Vade, so it looks like he wants to try and catch Boukada in these early stages. And sure, you will have that spell shield, but oftentimes as a Nocturne, you end up taking a level 4 instead of level 3 just for the clear. But trade boss
Loopy. Not quite respecting the level 2 from the side of GX. Noah and Jun looking a lot more confident in this 2v2 matchup. And remember, in the previous game, they did get an early MF to try and counter out the Varus to have a stronger 2v2, and ultimately, it wasn't the Varus they were playing against this time around. Getting a few more powerful early champions.
This is where, though, for GIANTX, like, they were able to get the early lead in the last game. And it was kind of when it got to those team fights, it was the coordination and trying to set up for a lot of these plays that had it fall apart. So I am waiting to see that come to fruition, because you are much more poke orientated, pick orientated, I should say, with this style of composition, rather than going for the big team fights. But you still need to set up on objectives first, be able to play through, you know, the Pantheon ultimate, the Ahri charm, and make those plays happen. Isma now trying to move into this bottom side, but I think the wave's a bit too far pushed in.
No
just going for the dive?
Only level 2.
Heal was used by Loopy early as well.
Has the Gleaming Quill for a bit more sustain, as well as the Guardian, who's going to start things off with the aggro. Jun is the answer. Aftershock proc. Loopy not quite able to connect on the knockup. Jun now flashing out. Can they find the dive? Keduii still living. GX can't get the dive, but can they look for the redive? Oh. No. Noah's too low. Jun's too low. They get both sums out of Keduii, but they lose barrier. They lose flash from Isma from Jun.
This Gleaming Quill auto kills Noah. He needs to be careful.
Gleaming Quill. Supportal combat. Loopy. I think you keep going. He will keep going.
This is the most aggressive you can feel as a Rakan. Chasing Pantheon out. Every solo queue support player is cheering Loopy on in this moment.
And I think we've all learned a very important lesson today, which is don't dive the SK bottom lane, I guess. Because that was an awful deal. They're just losing 2 waves right now.
Yeah. Let alone the summoners that Noah had to burn as well. To like, he's down his barrier.
He's got
You're down Isma's flash. It's like, yeah.
And look, Keduii did lose some CS in the context of the dive as they did push the wave in, but that should have been so much more influential. They should have at least been able to force the recall, but they just took so much damage they could not stick around.
I mean, he's a full level behind now. You can see it there. Like, Noah will get to push in this wave, but Keduii going to be able to pick up the wave as it crashes underneath the tower, so it's a complete mess. And honestly, it was GIANTX not really setting themselves up in the easiest of ways, right? You saw Isma go for the immediate engage, but Loopy with a good shield immediately as they went underneath the tower. Noah not in a position to really deal the damage that he need to, because Loopy, as you shield, positions himself behind Keduii. So the whole thing just started to fall apart from the get-go. So nicely done by SK to keep themselves alive, but also a bit of a misstep and an overstep from GIANTX.
Definitely was. And I think big for the side of SK that they can weather the storm of Noah and Jun, who, as we heard from the Antonio earlier, have been the most consistent part of this team. Jackie's now, or Lot perhaps, need to be the difference maker. Can they find any sort of edge in the 1v1 matchups? Top lane already looking a little bit rough for Lot, and it doesn't get easier the later you go against this Vladimir. Once you get Wit's End, maybe you can run him down in mini, but again, the Vladimir in a team fight, always a terrifying prospect. Emo play coming out.
Yeah, it's also the level 9 for Vladimir that everyone wants to talk about, because he just gets access to his full healing capabilities, and that damage is absolutely absurd. And for Gnar, he's always been a champion that has done well into melee matchups because he's able to punish with this slight bit of range advantage that he has. But as soon as you're able to match even somewhat that range, suddenly the fact that you are actually quite short-ranged for a range carry makes it a little bit of a different story. So you're able to punish relatively well as GIANTX, keep him off the wave as
FLICKR. Oh, that was a minion!
I mean,
FLICKR did ult out anyway.
But I was gonna say, like, you're burning flash there as Jackie's, but FLICKR had that ult the whole time, and that was always gonna go through charm or not, so I don't really think you had the pressure there, hoping to maybe burn the flash for a potential play from Isma mid, but I mean, look, I think it was always a reach.
Yeah, I mean, game 1, there were some insane reaction moments, and there were some pretty lackluster ones, right? Like, Jackie's had that incredible flash to get away from FLICKR on the bot side play, and then he had like a fight where he had flash and didn't use it. And both players clearly willing to limit Tess here to try to find those advantages, but for Jackie's, not only was it a little bit too reliant on FLICKR not immediately casting the ult, but he just didn't get the character hitbox past the minion. So the charm just connecting. Oof. That's not the kind of highlight you're looking to make when you set foot on this stage.
Yeah, especially as we said, like, we wanted to see Isma and Jackie's working together, but now Isma burned his flash bot. It's about to come back up off cooldown, but Jackie's doesn't have his in mid, and FLICKR will still have his up and available. So even if you try and go for an ult charm from Jackie's to set up for Isma, it feels like he's still got options to get away from it, and the clock is ticking. You're starting to move into moments where, hey, you know, a Dragon's about to go for second spawn, same when you look towards Grub. So these are where you're getting less opportunities to try and play through that lane state, and it will come down more to these team coordinated plays.
Yeah. And while I think that scaling is always a nuanced discussion, right? We know Vladimir's a late game terror. Ahri really isn't. And while Yone, you know, can have late game moments, I think against an Ahri, it's much more comparable than against something like an Azir, etc. And for Kai'Sa, we know why people pick this matchup, right? The later you go, the harder it is for Noah, for any Ezreal, to survive this Kai'Sa in a fight. For now, pre-1 item, yeah, he's going to be fine. Should be able to get mid-prio, but it's only going to get more difficult as the game goes on.
Yeah, and you will do a lot of damage as Noah. It's more the other parts of the equation that I am nervous for. Even with the Robo build, we're starting to see it come through from Jackie's. It's a Yone. You're just not on the comparable level when it comes to the team fight capability. And it's even for GIANTX, it's you don't really want to play team fights. This is a composition. Sure, you have the chance, right? Lot can be good. Oh, there we go.
Nice. Able to clip the edge of the ult. REKR goes back, but gets taken down. Excellent engage. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Jungle mid coordination, catching the ulti so that it connects and stops the full range dash. And the end results in that kill.
And REKR didn't burn that flash. It was Jackie's just being able to get that ult charm off to set up then for Isma's play. So really nicely done. I thought it would be too difficult, but REKR just not able to get that flash off in time.
So crucial that they find that kill quickly, because again, if they fumble some of those cooldowns, Nocturne can be there in a matter of seconds. Can punish both junglers with that semi-global. See where this first ult goes for Boukada? Like, in theory, that's where you want to make the most impact as the Nocturne. But Isma finding that kill starts to set things a lot better in the direction of GX, although quick Gnar ulti there. Boukada on the way in. Hemo plague. I don't think there's a play. Got a right not to just immediately ult.
So GIANTX, I think, need to now start looking for repeat plays off of this. I know you still have the flash there for REKR, but still trying to move into position where you can use the pressure now that Jackie's has a mid, to establish vision on bot side, start to look for dragons in a little bit of time. Void grubs are up, but I don't know if you fully want to try and commit for that. Like, I still think the pick and playing around vision is a little bit more important. Even 6 void grubs. Do SK fully get to utilize that in the long run? I don't think so. Maybe Lot versus GenX, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
Not too bad. I think giving away 6 to the Yone is always a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I think Jackie's can just clear out the wave, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if you leave him unattended for a second, it is rough. And the safety of the Soul Unbound, it's not quite the Rise rework where he could just immediately ult out of any problem forever with the Zhonya's interaction, but it's pretty close. But we'll see how this mid-game plays out. For now, only 10 minutes in, objective to objective, gold lead essentially dead even. Really the 2 plays that have happened, both effectively initiated by the side of GX. One a bit of a fumble, the one in mid paying off quite nicely.
Yeah, okay, so GX managing to swap basically Noah and Jun early to the mid lane means that they are in a position now to move over towards this. SK can't really contest because they're only shifting both Keduii and Loopy in towards mid lane now, so the wave has already crashed, and Jackie's having pushed on that top side. So they managed to set up the map nicely to be able to go for this. I'm looking at where Boukada wants to go because Dragon is in 20 seconds, but okay, they're going to reset Lot on the bottom lane, TP immediately with Jackie's. I wasn't sure if they wanted to go for the dive, but with Jackie's having ultimate, it makes that dive potential way more difficult to enact.
Definitely does. Spots Loopy, does not spot Boukada, crucially, but he does walk in the vision before it's cleared. So GX know, not in a commanding position on the bot side. They know they have less players available. Lot already moving up top side, no rage stack, but does have a TP ready to go if they do want to try and contest this.
SK gave up mid-prio though to try and make that play on bot side. Now you can see Keduii going to be forced back. I thought Jun would actually just show to keep Keduii off the wave, but trying to keep pressure on towards Loopy here.
Doesn't ult the wave either, I guess. Wants to save it for a potential fight.
Isma's on a ward.
Caught out. Jun now going in. Boukada turning off the lights. Where's the follow-up going to go? Loopy, nice initial knock-up. Now the retreat coming in. Isma on the way, but it's a 3-man ult going in from REKR and GenX right on top. Nice combo to kick things off. A Hemo Plague taking down Jun. He's able to find the Doctor in time. Lot now running. SK good retreat, holding on to their health. But the Dragon's not down. The objective's not down. So far, it's just 1 kill in favor. Jackie's not quite able to connect on the flash charm.
They're waiting for REKR. SK just trying to buy time. He's got the TP to come back in.
But he can't. He shouldn't go in. But he's just out of range. Isma doesn't want to jump in with the stun. Knows that he needs to save it to protect Noah. GX forced back. It takes some time, but that initial kill over to SK pays off. Boukada gonna grab this Drake. Loopy, just be careful.
SK's team fighting coming out clutch again. Boukada has started up this Dragon, but the TP from REKR went immediately to the top side, so they're looking for the last few plates as that's about to tick over as well. So team fight, Dragon, plates, and a wave advantage there. Like, that was a pretty sizable shift in gold there for SK.
Yeah, damn good. The extended fight, while they weren't able to find those kills, still getting a ton of gold.
And we see it here in the replay. So SK moving into Dragon area, they don't really force Keduii off the mid wave, and as this engage comes through, you get the Pantheon ult, but it's on towards Loopy, who's able to dash away. The front line gets completely knocked up by FLICKR here as well for GIANTX, and GenX then huge hemo playing across 4 members of the team. Sets himself up nicely to finish off one of them, a back Cosmic Drive and a finish for him. And it was just the target selection and Isma not being able to get into the backline with that ultimate really just set up SK for success.
And in that sense, the Nocturne kind of a nice pick, disrupting what have already been pretty disorderly moments from the side of GX. Q3 going to hit onto Jack, he's there backing off. And I'll just say that Pantheon ult from Isma a little bit awkward, right? It goes into the bush, which ends up hitting Loopy. But there was no one there until Loopy tried, and it's not. Maybe he called his shot. Maybe he's the greatest pool player of all time. But I think, you know, just going for the funnel, going where more people is, might have gotten them more out of that Pantheon ultimate.
But it was also a good call from SK. They retreated into that funnel, which meant that the Jackie's flank way less worrying. Keduii was able to position himself behind the team, but now Jackie's has to ult away. But still, I think it's like decisions like that in team fights from SK helping in the last league where you just don't get to have full value as Noah isn't threatening onto Keduii, or even then GenX is stepping forward. He's got the hemo or the pool as well to avoid a lot of that damage. So it's just your target selection becomes really difficult for GX in that position.
Yeah, definitely tough to navigate that fight. GenX throwing down an early hemo play just to make sure he gets some additional sustain. Pool fading away. An extra 200 health shouldn't be enough. Quick kill. Wallop goes through. Nice shutdown. The side lane pick working out well for GX. Downside in the meantime. FLICKR just continuing to push.
They will end up losing a wave on top side here again as FLICKR should be able to get this tower, but 2 flashes invested for the kill. I like, it's nice to be able to get something back, but unless you get tower, it's not worth.
Boukada going in, it's the mini Gnar. Crucially, the stun does manage to connect, slowing down Boukada for a moment. Isma should just be able to retreat. Good that Lot's able to escape, but still costs him the flash.
Yeah, Loopy's fine here, but I think without that tower going down, it's not really worth for GIANTX. You've got Hextech Soul in 230. You've got 50 seconds until this Rift Tower. Like 2 big objectives that now both your jungle and support don't have flash available for. So without getting that bot lane tower, sure, the extra gold is nice, but no map pressure and no real big win for an upcoming fight.
Loopy already just walking forward to lay down deep vision. Anticipating the recalls here, that additional ward is going to feel good. Was spotted out by the side of GX, didn't quite wait long enough for it to be hidden by the wave. So likely Jackies will not walk forward, but this is the gambit, this is the trap that SK are trying to set up.
We're also got Jun moving in towards mid to try and answer for this play.
He spotted, GenX already pushing out top wave, does have TP, but no ulti. Instead, the counterplay coming in from the side of GX. Centered around the top side of the Rift, looking to grab that Herald.
Yeah, SK are just playing fully for scaling. They're like, we don't really care what objectives you guys take as GIANTX. We're just going to play for sides, look to try and play around FLICKR, get him into a position he's fine, play for these towers. And I mean, GIANTX, if they can try and crack this mid lane turret with the Rift Herald, maybe they can get value in trying to use mid lane push to open up Isma to play for side lanes. But at the moment, they haven't really been able to put too much damage onto structures.
And you can see that FLICKR just seems generally unconcerned about Jackies. Able to walk forward, push the wave, push the tower out. Jackies without perfect information. Doesn't want to stray too far forward. His ulti's now up, so he can play a bit more aggressive. And yeah, you're right, SK does mean giving up the feet. I think that's the biggest loss here, but hold that thought. Isma, Jun going in. Lockup is there. Boukada holding onto the ult, maybe just hoping for a disengage as there is a TP behind. Keduii with the flash and the cleanse available will ult out using the cleanse as well, but holds onto the flash. Crucially, GX again fishing for these plays, but just coming up empty-handed.
Sick escape by Keduii. So uses the cleanse just as he ends up getting with the CC down, then uses the ultimate, even though he gets hit by the charm, to then step away and doesn't even have to burn the flash to try and get out of that. So nicely orchestrated by SK, and as you say, more tools invested with Jackie's TP on GIANTX's side to try and make that happen, but SK walk away.
And GX, an entire series of almost, but not quite, but maybe, and again, the start, they hit the CC that they need to. Boukada, again, uses the ult, I think, to somewhat slow the play down. Hard for Noah to immediately follow up when he doesn't know where to throw the Qs, right? You kind of just have to blind guess. But for SK, RIKR is the one winning out. He's the one who's, every time these plays happen, I feel like he's the one on the sideline getting another play, getting a bit more gold. And now it's SK with priority access to the Drake. They don't have Herald, but they don't seem too concerned. GX will use it top.
I really don't like this Herald usage. I think you could have just gone for this play regardless with the amount of people that have been committed by SK to that Dragon. So you'll get the charge. I think you would have got this tower anyway. And the lack of a mid lane tower play from GIANTX means it becomes so much more difficult to use this Pantheon, because RIKR can just constantly collect the wave in his own turret, and you just don't have any threat on the map now as GIANTX.
Really big for any kind of composition that wants to go for picks to break open mid-tier 1, right? It just gives you so much passive vision control, makes it so much harder for anyone to walk up in that mid lane.
I think the only saving grace is that Keduii doesn't have the best of wave clear because he's a relatively short-range AD carry, so maybe you can have a play where you push in top and then overload mid, but I still think with Loopy having the quickness available, and you're a lot of mid-lane champions on GIANTX's side trying to go under that tower, it gets a bit difficult. GenX
again caught here on side, stunned, but they can't quite layer the CC. He's holding onto that pool as long as possible. Big healing going in. Jack's gonna try to find the charm, but everything just whiffs.
And look at the tier 2.
There's a top lane tier 2 GX. Better luck next time. The story of this game so far is how many times are we gonna see the same play? Every time it's GenX or someone getting tricky to survive. Keduii in the mid lane, GenX in the bot lane. And to be fair to GX, that play worked once before, but the CC just wasn't quite there. The initial stun that went on to GenX, there wasn't a charm to follow. And at that point, they had to try to predict where he would exit the pool.
And now you're sitting at, hey, we're nearly at 2 items for GenX. We're starting to have these second items coming in complete across the board for SK, and the gold lead just hasn't really spouted enough for GIANTX to really write home about. At least Jackie's in this position, might be able to get this bottom tier 1, which should then open up a bit more of the map for GX to try and play through. And yeah, doesn't want to actually take the audit. I wasn't sure if he was just willing to invest the ulti to guarantee himself the tower there, but now just gonna...
I mean, the thing is, you just don't know where Nocturne is, right? And that is always what makes it so hard, is if you're too aggressive, you're over-eager, it's so easy to find that punish, especially when it's Swifty's Cosmic Drive Vladimir. You're probably... 3 charges is a lot, but against the Nocturne and a very fast Vladimir, better safe than sorry.
I think at this stage, though, as GIANTX, you have to start taking some risks, because this game is just going to continue to slip away. The scaling, again, such a crucial part of SK. At least now, you will get that.
Well, right now, they have top push, right, as is being caught. Lot has actually caught up and started to surpass GenX in terms of gold. So he's been doing well on the sideline at the very least, even if Jackie's compared to RIKR is a little bit behind. So they have priority around bottom side, but Drake is still so far away, I don't think they could really go for an Otacon. And just the looming threat of a Kai'Sa and a Nocturne appearing in your face makes it so hard for GX to play on side.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, you can see now where they're trying to set Noah up on mid-wave so then they can establish vision, but that vision is immediately getting removed by SK as soon as GIANTX back away. So not really in a position to threaten those sides, and as well, as a result, not able to threaten mid lane because you can't play from sides into mid, which is basically what GX want to do right now.
Yep. RIKR and GenX on the pushback, get a bit of pressure, force some waves, so a window of opportunity now for SK to act. But both sides just squaring up for the 3v3, which again, this makes sense. Hoping to maybe catch someone out. There's a ton of pick potential on both sides, so a single member misstepping from either team could result in a quick kill. GX, though, keen to take vision control. Know that they have Ahri closer in the bottom side of the map, even though they can't see GenX. They're not too concerned. But again, we are just trading waves right now and looking for setup and angles. I think the good news is for GX, this favors them. They have the Ezreal. Not always like the #1 poke champion to consider, but he's the one who just keeps chipping away at Loopy here. So the more that they play this back and forth game without resetting, although Loopy will reset now, the more favored GX would have been.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't really know how you're supposed to break this as GIANTX. Like, they're trying to use Jackie's as the side lane pressure, but SK happy to answer. And you don't really get the chance to overforce into this bottom side jungle to get the vision you want. Sure, you've got some, but everyone on SK is just getting to farm it up and take it easy. And if you ever try and go for this overload play with lots of TP, you lose a tier 2 because RIKR is just consistently pressuring there. So, and you've got a lot of escape tools on SK, so it's a bit of a dire straits here.
Yep. Money for nothing, tricks for free, is that what it is?
I know like one song from a racing game I played ages ago, and now I'm just gonna nod my head as if
every time anyone references Dire Straits, I don't know. Deficio was a big fan. He made me listen to like everything they ever made once when we were driving to work. But I didn't grow up with like a classic rock.
I love the idea of you get in the car, you just hear the door lock,
this
and
is
you're
what
like,
we're doing.
What?
That and country songs. He was obsessed with country. He thought it was funny. He thought it was a funny genre. Did not understand it. So, yeah, there you go. There's your Deficio backstory for today.
I didn't know he was a beer and truck kind of guy.
It's, yeah, I'll link you the song someday. It's really funny. SK have been zoned away here. Setting REEKR on side. GIANTX going through. Nocturne ult down. Loopy ready to kick the fight off. Eyes on Noah. They're going to try to find that pick. Loopy already finding it, and Noah's about to get deleted, but he manages to EL for a brief moment. It's Boukada who's taken down, but still, REEKR able to find a way into the fight. A nice initial start, and GX are turning it. Lot doing so much work, but again, Keduii, GIANTX still standing. The carries of this SK lineup. It doesn't even matter what champions they're playing. It's the same thing that happened in game one. Keduii locked in for a second. Jun going in. The Grand Skyfall going in for Pantheon, but he doesn't block damage from all sides. It's Loopy who gets the kill. An absolute bloodbath.
I cannot believe that SK managed to keep that fight going long enough to pick up 3 kills. It looked like GIANTX had kind of found their moment to back away, keep them at arm's length, and a big ultimate from Lot to try and get those kills, but SK continues to keep that fight going, and Isma's ultimate at the end just left on his lonesome as SK get the dragon.
Desperation maneuver. Have to look back at what exactly happened in that fight, but SK sent GIANTX over, spotted their angle, knew that if they found the flank, they'd be pretty favored, tried to break down this line of scrimmage that GX were able to establish.
Yeah, so as they end up going through, it's the flank opportunity, which I like here for the Vladimir. Like, he can really be a monster threat off of these 2 items that he has on towards Noah. And they just turn off the lights to make it a little bit more disorientated. They try to go to Boukada, but Loopy immediately in onto the back line. GIANTX tries to set up, but here REEKR gets 1 kill, but ends up getting charmed. So now there's Lot's ultimate on towards GIANTX. Doesn't quite stun him, but Keduii this whole time is just free firing in such a good position. GIANTX healing over the course of this fight a huge amount, and here I thought that was it. I thought they were gone for it, but Jun ends up connecting with the Zenith Blade. He falls, then the overextension from Isma as Loopy with a good knock up on the timing. But it nets the dragon, and Lot, well, I was going to say a good bit more gold, but it's still a 1k gold lead. It's more the dragon that's the real winner there for SK.
Well, Hextech is a terrifying prospect, but yeah, again, in the extended fight, the power of this Vladimir, the Yone, if he's able to survive, I think, well, like, good reactions from the side of GX. Jun, quick on the trigger with the Solar Flare, knowing the Nocturne was coming in for his AD carry. They deleted Boukada in almost an instant, but at that point, the damage was done. It's like 3 champions on top of Noah. There's just nothing he could do. He does hold on to his flash. Now, Charm Flash goes in for Jackie's. Clean on the play, instant shutdown. That's what you want to see when you lock this Ahri.
And that's the kind of play we're looking at for GIANTX. Overload in the mid lane, find the pick that they need onto Keduii, and they will get the mid lane tower. Baron is up, but I don't know if GIANTX can really commit to this. You still have so many damage threats on SK.
I think they just need to accelerate the pace of the game. I don't think that they want to just keep letting SK sit back. GIANTX is a bit scary. SK will have to play through mid. Top wave is pushing in their favor. Jackie's waiting off to the side. Jun channeling over the wall. Initial pick looking good to start things off. Boukada gonna get deleted, but he's now trying to find an escape into the waiting arms of Lot, who's able to finish the jungler. Now it might be SK who need to retreat. Noah untouched for now. Good damage down on the GIANTX. Does he have the pool available? Healing coming in for the Crimson Rush. Tides of blood going out as well, but it's not enough. GX finding a good angle. REEKR trying to kick things off. Blast Cone to get out to safety, but they're being routed in the river. Loopy now running as well. Grand Starfall there. Jackie's with a charm to close it. GX, big moment of confidence, and SK take the bait.
SK, they needed to try and stop it, but GIANTX managing to play them in the 4 versus 5. Keduii now just trying to poke from outside the pit, but GIANTX will net themselves the Baron.
And the Baron was so slow. Yeah. A little bit of vision into the pit, and they would have known they had years. They could have waited for so long. No one on GX was focusing the objective. But in the heat of the moment, steps too far forward. Jackie's again, some good charms, and team fight just crumbling. Ooh. But now, Keduii.
Wait a second.
Wait, no! Oh no! He's going in! They managed to get the Baron, but surely they're all dead. Keduii debating if he wants to go forward.
Keeping things going.
Keduii, highlight moment, flash Q. He wants to push it, but it might be GIANTX to finish the job. E forward, that's the Aegis Assault. Noah trying to retreat. Should just be dead. Doesn't look like he has the E. It's a double kill. And even when things go right, they go wrong. GX, that's so much of the Baron lost.
It's only Lot and Jun, and it may be more. You've just lost mid-turret. Boukada is now pushing that down. SK are moving in onto the top side as well. Like, sure, you got the Baron, but look at that Red Bull Baron power play. It's a fairly big negative at the moment.
And I mean, credit to both lineups, because it clearly the pressure is on. Both these teams are fumbling. They are screwing up. But it just keeps being individual players who stand up in the moments. It was Jackie's in the mid lane. Dash forward, charm flash, instantly kills Keduii. Keduii striking back to punish that Baron. And in the picture-perfect game of League of Legends, that's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be, okay, we lost, you get the Baron, go on. But the players are finding these angles, and it is making the difference. That said, again, it is GX. The coin just keeps coming up tails. They cannot catch a break, as now SK, sight set on the Otacon, will have the false light, very likely, as we get into Soul, because it might just be Jun who's been caught out. Ulti to try to separate the fight. Boukada now finishing the objective. Heads up use of the ult to try to stop them from getting in. FLICKR so damn tanky. Jun already down. Loopy! And now Keduii into the back line. Flash! The W flash as well. The cleanse. He wants to finish the kill. He's getting a little bit over eager and he's going to withdraw. Okay, that was not it. But he had a lot of confidence.
There might be more. I don't know if it's over yet.
Dragon's still in 27 seconds. FLICKR chasing Noah. Noah again, nowhere to go. GIANTX will be able to walk away. This is such a weird game of League of Legends, and I am absolutely here for it.
I was going to say, this is fantastic. FLICKR wanting to move on towards Lot. Jackie's trying to come out for the base, so you've still got 7 seconds until you have that Dragon up and available. Loopy won't be there, but you've got the majority of SK in position.
It's got to be enough.
Yeah,
your junglers are moving
away.
Have a smite. Every champion in this pit can heal through any damage the Hex Tech might do.
But perfect fight opportunity for GIANTX there. Like, you're in a choke point as SK, trying to get into position, and the Otacon take plus the immediate fight sets them up perfectly. Loopy just now trying to move in to get some vision down, but that may have just sealed the deal for SK.
I gotta say, overall, pretty well played by SK. I don't think that they've gotten much out of this Nocturne at all, but the utility of turning off the lights is super nice.
And that's the big one, especially here. Like, FLICKR is able to get that huge ultimate, and you get the charm from Loopy as he goes through here, and gets the full knockup. Jackie's the only one that doesn't end up having it because of that, the ult over the wall. But still, like, SK gets so much off the back of it, and it's as GX are funneled through that choke that FLICKR gets value, Loopy gets value. It's the perfect slot for SK to fight.
And it's only getting harder for GX. They're down in gold, and Hextech has to be the worst possible role to face off against, especially for Noah, who's already being focused and targeted at every single opportunity. FLICKR on a side lane, though. Awkward position to recall to, but he might have enough damage just to finish Lot. Quick stun going out. Q3 ready to go for FLICKR. Not quite able to find Lot. Lot just sidesteps, waits, knocks him back to the wall, and sends him packing. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, the lights have been turned off, and Keduii's diving straight into that back line. Noah taken down. Jun running as well. SK moving away. As in the meantime, GIANTX just taking a bot lane tower. SK continuing to win out on these short trades.
And then you got the wave that's about to show up as well. The TP immediately back from FLICKR. It's round 2 for SK, and I don't know if GIANTX even have their gum shields in yet.
No, they don't. We'll see if the hook comes out, though. Isma trying to find an angle. GX still stepping forward. Might be SK who've overstayed. Jackie's finding the resets. Finding 2. Has one more dash to go out. Snapback comes in from FLICKR, but it might be Keduii's in trouble. Eyes on that charm. Where's it going to go? Jackie's hopping straight to melee range. The Zenith Blade might not hit, but he walks away. Quick quadra for the R. He makes it look casual.
A second time now that Jackie's has stepped up for GIANTX in this game when they desperately needed it to, and that's 40 second death timers. GIANTX may have just turned this.
What? No, there's no way.
There's so many structures still in front of them.
There's a TP. They clear this pretty quick. There's no way.
It's 20 seconds until GIANTX one of the ultimate up and available, but...
Are they going to go for it?
They're just going to go for it.
Every coin flip they've taken this game has not worked out for them. It's been Jackie's in 2 instances that have found them a way back in this game. Do they just want to end it here? Loopy, multi-man charm, knocked back to the wall. Rakan deleted, enough of a wave. They're taking down the base. How much time did he actually buy? Boukada jumping into the backline, but he's not that strong. He's so far behind the curve. The fear is going down. GIANTX going in. He wants to make the difference. Eyes on the Vladimir, but a well-timed charm. Instant CC to follow. He can't even get back into the pool. He's desperate to do it. There's nothing left. FLICKR going with it all. FLICKR wanting to turn in the time for the Yone to go over. He's looking for double kill. Maybe by Q3 through. Jackie's running. Game not over yet. Isma, a valiant effort to stop Keduii but there's wards in the base, and luckily for them, no TPs and no GIANTX. So we go again.
It's an 11, 1 and 4, Ahri. That is the only thing that escapes. SK just threw body after body in the way, and eventually they're able to smother the flame that was GX Hope to end the game right there.
And that damage graph tells a pretty clear freaking story about this game. Because Ahri is not a champ who does damage. Just fun fact. Like, sorry, Nymera and Ahri players, like this champ, you have to hit everything in every single fight to put up bigger numbers than your Ezreal.
And he has been. Like, you look at this fight, right? Moves in here, waits until the pool comes out, then goes forward, gets the charm onto the Vladimir, kills him. Moves forward, immediately gets one kill, then the second triple kill there for himself. And even again, he's just waiting on cooldowns here to immediately get into range, so Keduii can't interact with the charm, gets the kill, and here, like, Loopy gets a little bit of the charm to buy some time. The terror shot's doing a little bit of work, but then you've got Boukada who follows up there, manages to draw the GX members in that little bit too deep. GIANTX then opens up with the terror shot onto the Leona to kill him. Noah taking a ton of damage, and FLICKR, the immediate kill setup as the Hemo Plague finishes off there is just huge as Keduii's able to finish off one more.
I mean, well held by the side of SK. Isma died? Oh no, that was the replay still. Oh, yeah.
Well, what my eyes were looking at is GX basically trying to find angles into the base, because Isma has that ultimate, can immediately go through, and Lost could TP in it to follow.
SK got Baron in that replay. So, they have Baron now.
Yeah, okay. But it's a minute until Outer Dragon, and again, like...
Okay.
So, the GX can't make this play where they just ult into the base at Isma and you double TP unless Isma resets for a control ward. Because he needs something to basically enable him. I don't think he can finish off the base quick enough himself. But there is always an opportunity to just send it immediately. But obviously Nexus turrets now respond, so you do have a little bit of a timing window.
A lot is there. Decent amount of AD. Sheen procs off the Triforce. I see the backdoor angle, but I think SK might see it as well, given that GIANTX is just hanging out.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I cannot believe the game has got to this position.
No, this is the thing. And to be honest with you, that push, the threat of the backdoor, one of the only reasons that GX are able to get control here. SK grouped as 5. GX trying to poke as best they can with Noah, but the skill shot's not quite connecting. Blue buff taken down, a nice boon to have, but Hextech and the AP damage coming through from Kai'Sa a little bit much. Lot trying to find the combo. FLICKR forced to snap back here. Walking into a funnel is so difficult. SK just know they're stronger. They have mid push there. Lot on the side, perfectly stacked Gnar bomb. Waiting in the darkness. Jackie's gets the pool, but that's his flash down. The fight now breaking up. FLICKR looking to start things. Instantly everyone diving in. Off to the side. Boukada finally finding and isolating the Ahri. Jackie's got nowhere to go. The fear still procced, and it's all falling apart for GX. One moment of hope. One victory in the fight. A beautiful play from Jackie's, but it's just too little too late in this fight. It's SK first on the trigger. Their aim sure and steady. They're going to look to end this one quick.
And just like that, GIANTX are snuffed out. It looked like they might have been able to look for the fight, but GIANTX cornering off Jackie's so Boukada can finish him off. And then the rest of SK, the immediate jump onto GIANTX as they're trying to get towards their mid laner. SK barreling down mid.
All right, Lot. This is impossible. Is this your Michael Jordan moment? No, no, you are being bullied. Okay, GSK, 2-0 win. Game 1, a counter pick, a beautiful performance across the board. Game 2, it was scrappy, it was messy, but SK remained composed and closed the series out.